Hi there, this is Jill from Tutor Success Academy. And the other day on my personal page, I posted a picture of some things I had ordered to make what I'm calling tutor fun kits. But basically they're like multi-sensory materials to send out to my students. And I did this because I'm now moving to virtual tutoring full time. And while there's a lot we can do with technology, I know that I like kids to still be able to touch things, feel things, and not have everything be on the screen. And so I wanted to replicate some of the options that they would normally have if they were tutoring with me in person. Plus, it's just kind of fun. It's like that back to school shopping, right? And so I wanted to make these because this way, when we kind of get together and we're doing our virtual tutoring, I like the idea of there being something special that they can use while we're tutoring together. And I can kind of tell them to pull it out, and we can kind of keep it fun by really only using it during tutoring. So I'm going to encourage my families not to get this out all the time. Of course, they can use it if they need to, if it'd be helpful for a skill or to work on something. But ultimately, I would like this to be something that keeps the engagement level up a little bit more while we're doing our online tutoring. So I'm going to show you a couple of the different things that I got, and then I'm going to kind of assemble one kit for you so you'll see what really is going to be going out to my families. And so one of the first things I got for them that I already had in my office was something called syllaboards. Okay, so this can be, you can get this from Really Great Reading, and I will link everything below this video or in this post so that you can see where to order this if you like them, okay? And so basically what these are is these are small, they're 5 small dry erase boards, and it comes with a marker and it comes with an eraser. And basically, it is something you can use to break words into syllables and just make things a little bit more concrete as far as the parts of the word, right? Now, I'm going to show you how I use it, but I also am going to try to come up with some ways to use it that are not literacy related, because I know if you're watching this, you might be a reading tutor, but you also might be a math tutor, or you might just be a parent who wants to get some ideas. So here is what the syllaboards look like. And I'm also going to share with you guys some ways to get cheaper versions of this, okay? And so syllaboards are basically just small miniature dry erase boards, okay? And so what I like about them is that if your student is working on breaking apart words, right, then they can actually take the words and spell them by their syllables, okay? So if you ask them to break the word down into syllables, right, they can have their pieces and then they can focus on one spelling or one syllable each for spelling, right? However, you don't have to just do that, okay? So let's erase this really quickly as far as thinking about what you could use these boards for, okay? You could also flip them around and just make them sound boards, right? So they could spell dig, d-I-g, right? So it gives them that concrete separation of sounds if they're doing that. D-I-sh. So one board to represent one sound, but you'd put both letters there, right? So we all know how to do that, right? So these small little boards make it really easy to do that, and for them to not only see it and hear it, but they're also like physically feeling that they are different parts of the word, and that can be really powerful for our kids as they are learning. Now, something I've also thought you could use these for would be things like math, place value, things like that. And I'm going to show you one other tool I use that I would use for that if I was doing math. But I was also just thinking, let's say you're doing something, you're playing a game, you're doing an activity, you're solving a math problem, you're doing a word problem, you are writing a sentence or writing an essay, and you need to figure out how to spell something really quickly. I think this is awesome to have just next to the computer while a student's working in general, because it's like this little place that they can kind of really quickly scratch some notes on and then wipe it off. So it's great for like trying to solve a math problem, or it's great for drawing something really quickly, or it would be great for, like I'm thinking trying to spell a word or something like that. So they're super easy. They're like, oh, let me hold it next to my head so you can kind of see the size. They're small, they're versatile. I think you guys could actually come up with a lot of different ways that you could use this. So I'm giving my students one syllaboard kit, and then I'm also going to give them one of these. I'm only doing one, but I'm going to show you how you could actually do a couple different things with 3 of these. So it's the same thing. So if you look at the size, right? So you could do something where you take a word and you break it into syllables and then you write the whole word on this. Now this is called, I think, a sentence board, but I'll be honest, that would be a very short sentence. That would have to be something like, I like tacos, right? Unless you're writing with a skinnier marker and writing small. So I would maybe not use this for sentences, but you absolutely could. And so what I like is, again, taking those syllaboards, you can break something down and then you can put it together on the big board as one unit, right? So that way they can kind of see and feel that visual change. But I also like for this one is that you could use this again for sounding out words, for spelling, keeping track of something. You could use it, I'm sure, in math, right? You can make yourself a little number line really quickly. So like your student can make a number line that they're using for their math problems. But another thing I thought that you could use with these, so literacy related, if you decided you wanted to get more than one for your student, you could take these and put them on the table and spread them out. And this could be a story that you map out. This could be a paragraph that you map out where you decide to put what are the sections of your paragraph going to be, the body sections. And then what I like about these is then you could move them around. So let's say you guys are brainstorming facts that you know about bats, right? And let's say you use these to brainstorm some general categories, right? Well, then you could take it and rearrange it to build a paragraph that makes sense. So that could be how I think I would use this maybe as a planning, like a way of planning and organizing something that has multiple steps. So this could also be how you maybe map out the steps of a procedural paragraph or something like that. The other thing, I don't teach math, but I was thinking you could also take them and let me go ahead and share my screen really quickly. So I'm thinking for kids that are still learning about keeping their numbers in line and place value, I think turning these around to solve a math problem where this way if they have to carry and put it into a new column, it's very visual and concrete that you could use this for solving math problems and things like that. So that is another thing that I think you could do with these. So really all they are is versatile sizes. So they're really just versatile sizes of dry erase boards that you could use for a lot of different things. So to me, I think this is something that's gonna be very helpful, especially for literacy. That's really what I'm gonna be using it for, but I think you can actually do a lot of things with this. Now, let's talk about two more cost-conscious alternatives to getting the professional ones that are already cut, okay? So you can go to Home Depot or Lowe's and you can get a shower board and you can ask them to cut that up. Now they might not be willing to do it this small, but you can definitely get like dry erase board sizes. Or hey, if you have a cutting tool and you could do it, you could take those and then turn them into something small too. So you could use dryer or shower board to make these. And then another alternative I thought of, if you are looking for something that is definitely cost effective, is you could take the same thing, and you can even do this with the small pieces too, right? Is just take some cardstock, and I cut mine into strips and I got it laminated at Staples or Office Depot. And then this way, I can take it like this and we can plan out the steps to something, we can plan out the parts, or we can turn it this way and we can do sounds. We could use this as like a sorting graphic organizer. So let's say we're doing the sounds of ED, right? We could have the different sounds that ED makes as a suffix, and I could give them words and they can record them on here. So again, this would be a very cost-effective option if you did not want to buy dry erase boards. And it'd be super easy to mail. So syllaboards, that's one thing that I'm going to be putting in my kit. Okay, so a lot of these things that I'm about to show you all have value, but they're also kind of just fun. They're things that I like to have in my office so that way kids have choices, right? So I can say, hey, we're going to be spelling some words. Do you want to write it on paper? Would you like to go up to the chalkboard? Would you like to practice writing your letters in sand? Or would you want to use a bumpy pad, right? So I tend to give them some options, but they all have the same result, right? So the other things I'm going to show you today are like that, right? They're not all necessary, but to me, if we're working online and I'm wanting to keep them engaged, and especially if they're doing a lot of things online, these can all be nice little ways to practice. So if you're a parent and you're watching this and you're not using this in tutoring, these can just be different ways to practice skills. So practice spelling words. You can be practicing your letter formation. Oh, that reminds me, I had one more thing to show you in case you are a parent that's watching this. I think this size can be really great if you've got a younger learner and they are learning to write their alphabet, because you can use this to give them the guidelines of like a capital letter versus a lowercase letter versus like the midline. And so if you're trying to show them, say, the different, you're trying to work on capital B, let's say, and lowercase b, right? Well, I like how these give us some general size boundaries, right? So you can kind of say, we're going to go from the top to the bottom. Whereas maybe if your child on paper is kind of writing their B and it takes up half the paper, this could be a way to start working on like relational size of your letters and numbers and things like that. So there's so much you can do with these little tiny boards. I definitely think it's worth investing in or making, because I think you can really get a lot out of it. So these all come with an eraser. I might throw in an extra one because I also bought like a bag of 12. So we might do that. So the rest of these things, let's show you. These are just, again, different options for practicing spelling, practicing writing, practicing your cursive. And so this right here, I believe is called, like, it's a magnetic gel board. And so again, this is just a novel way of practicing whatever it is you're working on, right? Whatever skill you're working on. Now, it has this little, you probably can't see it, magnetic tip. And that whole thing is you want to write kind of lightly and it'll get darker. And so you can just lightly write on it, right? And you get a word. And then all you have to do to erase it is you just rub on it, although you would do this on the table because it's a lot easier to do. But just by rubbing on it, it goes away. So, but if you do it on the table, you can rub it very quickly. Now, here is a fun thing if you keep one for yourself. So everything I bought my students, I definitely get to keep one because I want to have fun too. So what's neat about this is you can actually write from the back. So you could start to spell a word and see if they can guess the word that you are spelling, okay? So let's say you guys are working on vowel teams, okay? So you could do something like this, and by writing through the back, it kind of goes to the front, right? And then you could say the line represents the long E sound. So what sound do we have so far? B, E, and then I'm going to add one more sound. All right, what word would this be? B, each, and then they could tell you how to spell it and how to complete it. And you can say, all right, how would we finish that? So again, it's nothing different than what you could do on the computer, what you could do on a piece of paper, what you could do on a dry erase board. However, it's just a little bit novel and a little bit fun. And so I know if I was a kid and I was working on practicing my spelling words or practicing my math facts or my multiplication, I don't know, all the different things kids do. I think it'd be fun to have one of these. So this is from Kendor Learning. I will link it below, but you can also find it in a couple different places too. So it is a magnetic gel board, and they always come with this little stylus pen and the board, but it's super thin. You can tell it's basically just laminate with a thin layer of magnetic gel in the middle. So that one is one of my favorites. So I got to keep moving things over so I know which ones that I've already shown you. Okay, so some other little basic things, especially because I do work in Gillingham tutoring, I like to have some tactile surfaces. And I've decided I'm not sending sand and tubs and things like that. So these are going to be like two different options that they have for having a tactile surface for when they are writing their letters with their fingers, okay? And so again, I'm just going to start with like this regular, I think it's like cross stitch, what is this called? Canvas, I think it is, it's canvas. And then I just went and found some of this glittery foam that you can find at Michael's. And again, you just use it to have a textured surface to write whatever, you know, letters you're working on, sounds, things like that, your graphemes. So I'm going to put two of these in there just so they have an option again. I think I'm going to save my favorite one for last. Okay, so let's look at some other things I'm going to have. So some of these I'm going to mix and match depending on what I maybe know the student already has. So if I know that a student is sometimes balancing things in their lap and things like that, then I might be including a clipboard just so that they always have something sturdy to lean on. There's a good chance they maybe have one, but maybe if I give them one, they'll be using it more. So I'm going to go ahead, and some kids will get a clipboard, but some will not, because some I know are on a good table surface. Another thing that I'm going to send is these little bags of Target dollar spot erasers. So we know we can use these for a lot of things. We can use these for segmenting sounds. We can use them for game pieces. You can use them for counting and grouping and all kinds of different things. So I'm just going to give them a little bag. Number one, it's just fun. It's something fun that they can use where I can say, okay, go ahead and, you know, grab one of your manipulatives, or I can call them the little racers, and I'll say, ready, go ahead and get out 5. All of our words today are going to have 5 sounds. And so they would grab 5. So this is, again, just a fun way to have something they can move around. But if you tutor in math, you could use this as manipulatives for counting and grouping and all that kind of good stuff. I did see popsicle sticks. If I was doing math, I would send popsicle sticks or straws or something like that, but I'm not doing that. So I did not include that. Another thing from the dollar spot, chips. For the same, segmenting sounds, beginning, middle, end, however you would like to do it, math, things like that. This is one that I had not planned on putting in my kit, but when I went shopping today to get one last thing, I found it and I just thought it's a little bit just fun, but I think it's going to be, it can be useful, right? So I'm making them a little game kit. Now, I can think of a lot of things to do with this for math, but I'm also just thinking that there are going to be times that we're playing games. And again, if we're doing games with our learning, it can be all on the screen, but also it's fun to have your own dice sometimes and your own timer. Or I could send them a game to print so that they can be writing on the game board too. So when I would do games with my students in person, a lot of times, because they always have to earn their turn, right? Meaning you don't get to go forward in this game until you do something. You have to spell something, you have to write a sentence, you have to do something, right? And so sometimes I still might send them a game to print out, because as they're going along on the game, I'm going to want them to write maybe on the game board, like on the thing that they're printing. And so I think having something like this could be fun. And so this is going to go in their kit. And basically, I don't know if everybody will get this much dice. I just happened to find a set of dice that had like 50 in them. So I don't need 50 dice. So I figure I'll give them a nice little kit. And so I'm giving them a timer and I'm giving this. Now, if you teach math, you already know there are a million things you can do with dice. So this right here would be awesome if you're making a math toolkit. And so you could use this, of course, for just getting number combinations, counting. You could take 4 or 5 of them and, you know, shake them out, roll them out, and then figure out what the place value is of the number that you get. You can figure out what's the biggest number that you can make using the numbers that you roll, all that kind of good stuff. So this was not going to be in my kit, but when I will tell you, this is what made me get it. I saw these at Michael's. They were super cheap. They were a pack of 3 for like $2.59, I think. And so I just thought I can use this for a lot of things. We can do something like, all right, turn over your timer. And while this is going on, we're going to see how many words you can read. Like we're only going to do it until while the sand is running. So that's sometimes fun for kids to see how many words can they read before the sand goes out. So again, if you are a parent, you might say, okay, tell you what, sweetie, we're going to practice this thing, but we're only going to practice it for as long as the sand's on. So turn it around. We're going to practice it. When the sand goes out, we're done. Kids like knowing when things are going to be done. So I just thought this was so cool. So I'm making them this little tiny miniature game kit. I will admit, I think it's mostly just cute, but I think I'm going to find ways to use this in my tutoring. Okay, 2 more things, 3 more things. Okay, so this one, again, is just fun, just to have something novel every now and then. I might say, okay, tell you what, let's, you know, celebrate. You can go ahead and pick one of your bright colored pieces of paper and we can do your dictation or your writing on one of the bright pieces of paper. So I'm going to probably not send the whole pack, I don't think. I might split it up, but who knows, I might send the whole pack. It's kind of fun, it's fun doing this. So that's one thing I do, definitely extra, it's not important. These, I did find and I grabbed them. I'm not sure if I'm going to be sending them or not. They're dry erase cubes. That might be better for, you know, when you're doing stuff in person. And but I don't know. You could send one home and have them write different sounds on it, and then you roll the dice and you have to spell a word that has that sound. I mean, my gosh, there's a lot of things you could do with this, right? So I haven't decided. I think it's going to matter if it fits in how I'm shipping them, how I'm mailing them. One or two more things, and then I'll show you my favorite one. So I'm also going to include some stickers. I'm just going to take some of these pages out and put them in there, just because in tutoring we always had so much fun. We would, you know, just grab stickers for anything. So I like being able to include a few stickers again, because I want it to be something that when they open up their toolkit for tutoring, it's a little bit fun and exciting and interesting. when maybe online can sometimes be a little bit monotonous. So it's just something to kind of spice up what they're doing online on the computer. I'm also going to probably send them some Post-it notes or some sticky notes, any brand, right? And so, of course, it really depends on what you're doing. But I mean, if you're doing math, you could have a different color for each place value, right? So you could have them grab their sticky notes, put one color of each, and then you could build numbers. You could even use this with a dice. You can use this for taking notes while you're reading. I mean, there's a lot of little things. I mean, I use sticky notes all the time. So I don't 100% know how I will use them online tutoring, but I think if they have at least one set of sticky notes, I will probably come up with some ways to use that. So I'd love to hear how you guys would use that. So I'm gonna put some stickers, some sticky notes, and then the last thing that I'm very excited about is something I haven't had in my office before I went virtual. So I had a chalkboard, and we would do a lot of work on the chalkboard. And so there are benefits to writing with chalk on a chalkboard versus all dry erase, just because it gives you that more of a sensory feedback. So these are, I don't exactly remember what they are called, but I got these from Tutor Learning, and I think it was just called black and white board or something like that. And so you've got this board on the front and then like a traditional whiteboard on the back. But here's the part that's fun. So this does not actually use chalk. It uses something called WonderStix. And so WonderStix are almost like dry erase crayons. And so this is a way to, again, we would use this for dictation or practice or spelling or, you know, planning out, mapping out the outline of a paragraph or working on a math problem, right? So if your child is doing virtual learning and they're not tutoring, but they just need a way to, you know, start working on some problems while they're in class online to figure things out, this can be something fun to have. And so with the WonderStix, what I think is really cool about them is you have lots of different colors that come in the kit. And basically when you're writing on this, so I'm just gonna do a heart, okay? So when you're writing on this, it feels almost like a crayon. So it gives that textured feedback, okay? But it's not chalk. I can rub my hands on it, it feels more waxy, okay? So I'm actually rubbing my hands on it. So chalk is really awesome, but again, if you hit it, you've messed it up, right? This is not that delicate, but all you do is you take one of the, what do they call these, microfiber cloths with, it comes with it, like you can get the whole kit, and all you do is just rub it in circular motions. Sorry, it's a lot easier to do on a table, but all you do is rub it in circular motions, and it's cleaned off. So I like it because there's lots of different colors that you can use. And so again, you could have them, you know, be spelling, doing math. You could also have them, you know, you could tell them to, okay, go ahead and draw 3 columns. You know, we're going to be sorting, I don't know, sorting how many syllables and things like that. And so it's just, number one, most kids have not used this before. So it's going to be novel, it's going to be fun, it's going to be interesting. It's not as precious as chalk because again, I can hit it, right? And it doesn't mess up. So it's not super delicate. That can be really nice because sometimes it can be frustrating if you erase something on accident, right? And then you could totally use this to, again, like spell words by syllables or sort words or do whatever it is you want to do with it, okay? And so on the dark side, the lighter ones show up better. And then on the back, you can do the same thing. I didn't get out all of mine, but I think you'd use the darker ones on this side. And so again, you could use this to do your dictation. Okay, it's hard to see because I picked a lighter color, but imagine that was one of the dark colors, like red or blue or something like that. Okay, can you kind of see it? And it's the same thing, you can totally erase it. Now, I'm less excited about this because I already do dry erase boards and they're going to have this dry erase kit. So I will likely be using it for this side. Now, I'm sorry I keep picking the word magnetic. This is not a magnetic board, but it's an awesome board and I like it. And I think the kids are going to have fun. So that when I say, okay, it's time, you know, to do our dictation. So tell you what, okay, today you get to choose. Where do you want to do your dictation? Do you want to do it on the little whiteboards? Do you want to do it on your blackboard? Or do you want to get one of your bright pieces of paper? And then they can decide where they want to write. And that just makes things a little bit more fun. So this one right here is from Tutor. And I'm probably taking these bigger packs and just taking an assortment of the lights and the darks to give the kids, like, I don't know, I can't remember. I have to go over and look and see if I was able to get big sets or not. So now let's look at where these are going to go, because it kind of looks like I did a whole bunch of things. But my plan is that they would fit in a small enough container that they could keep with them and have their toolkit with them. So I have two ideas that I'm giving parents. I'm not purchasing the containers because that will start to drive the shipping costs up a lot. I'm just going to take all this and put it in a big bubble mailer, but these are the two I'm going to suggest. So this one is my favorite, but it is a little bit bigger and bulkier, but we've all seen these, right? They are 12 by 12. I think they're scrapbook paper containers. And what I like about this is it lays flat, and everything that goes in here, clipboards, boards, like it's thick enough that it can hold stuff in it and not be bursting at the seams. And because it has a lid, it can be like contained and shoved to the side and brought back out. And so right now, these are on sale for only $5 at Michael's. So to me, these things are normally super pricey. So $5 was really great. They're normally $10. So if I were you, this is one idea I think that you could use, okay? But the other one is super simple that I'm going to share with parents, and that is just simply an ice cube tray. So I got this today from Walmart for $1.50. So $1.50, and everything here, with the exception of the dry erase cubes, which is why I'm not sure if I'm going to send them, will fit in here. So we talked about a lot of things. Let me just kind of show you how I'm going to suggest parents get something like this, something they can keep right there on the desk, have easy access to so they can like dig into it without having to dump everything out, right? So in here, so if they have a clipboard, right, we can fit their clipboard. We're going to fit their textured pieces if they're using that. We're going to put their magnetic gel board, and I would maybe have a pencil pouch in there for some of these little things. Like I might send some extra dry erase markers. I did get little 8 counts of crayons to make sure that they always have a red crayon and like a yellow for prefixes and suffixes and different things that I tend to do in my tutoring where they pull out crayon colors for different reasons. So I would maybe include a pencil pouch, but I also figured a parent can get a Ziploc bag. So let's go Ziploc bag style, right? They can put their board in there. They can have their WonderStix. They might want to take this out and again put it in a supply pouch because that one might be easier, right? And then if you have your syllaboards kit or your version of it, right? So yours could be this kit, or it could be something you make, or again, could be one of these. So again, all of this, you just decide what works for you. Okay, so far, look, it's not a lot, right? This is a nice little kit. Let's see here. So if you are doing any of these, you can put those in there too, right? These are in a Ziploc bag or something like that, again, or some type of pouch. Those can also fit right in here. And again, there's still not too much in here. If they have sticky notes or stickers, that can go in there too. And then of course, the cutest little game thing that you've ever seen in your whole life, that can go in here too. All of that fits really nicely. Oh, forgot. Got our little, you need to have your erasers, right? And so this right here, move things over a little bit, right? So again, if you're at a desk or a table, it's hard for you to see, but it's just an ice cube tray, right? So look, it's not, put it over my shoulders so you can get an idea of how big it is. That's not that big, but that is like an entire kit full of things that you can use that if they take care of it, you can use this all year long. And so I love this because I think this can be something that will make tutoring a little bit more interesting, a little bit more engaging, but also it's just, some of this will help take things off the screen. So many things are going to be on the screen that if I can ask a child, hey, we're going to do this game on the screen. So, hey, while we do that, go ahead and get out your Blackboard and choose one of your, what do we call those? Those WonderStix, and get one of your WonderStix, right? And for you to earn a turn, you have to be able to spell this word, spell a word. So how about we write it on there? Again, it's just a fun way to do things. So those are some of the things I'm including. Now, I'm not including everything that I would have in my office. I used to have a lot of different options, right? So kids could go over and they could pick a textured pad, they could pick a sand tray, they could pick lots of different options. My goal was not to replicate everything that I do in my classroom or in my office. My goal was simply to give them options that I think could be used them in as many ways as I could possibly think, while keeping things a little bit novel and interesting and helping me accomplish what it is that I want to accomplish. Now, there's some things I didn't do, like highlighters, because all my kids so far, they always have highlighters when I ask their parents to have them for them. I didn't include regular notebook paper. One of my students, I am going to put a composition book in theirs because we are moving from a binder to a composition book, because it's easier for them to keep up with online learning. They're struggling a little bit with binder organization, and they needed my help in person a little bit more, so we're going to move to a different system. If you use things for tracking text, like if you have any of those cards with like the highlighter, you know, you can totally do that. I love the idea of like beads on a Chanel stick if you're doing things for segmenting sounds. I mean, there's a million things you could do. I decided just to kind of go with as many things that would work for me as possible. And again, I like getting like some of the cool stuff. So most of these things you could really replicate very inexpensively, but if you can think, okay, well, I like that like idea of these little boards, what is another way that I could do this? I bet you can find another way to do that, right? So I hope this was a little bit helpful to give you an idea of what is going to go in my multi-sensory kit that I'm sending home with 2 families. And if you guys have any ideas of what's going to go in yours, or if you have some that you're doing that are different versions of what we're doing, like papers that go into clear plastic protectors and things like that, share it with us because we would love to hear your ideas too. But I hope this got you thinking about what could be in your toolkit for learning while kids are online.